All told, how long were you in Australia?
First contract was 2 years, and then I went back out, and I was about just over 6 months, I think, with Essendon the second time.
Bombers.
So, pardon?
The Bombers.
The Bombers, yeah, that's it.
So it's St Kilda the first time, yeah?
Yeah, St Kilda the first time, yeah.
So what was the situation there? So you were obviously playing for Westmeath, going well, you got called out there. And how did that go?
Started off brilliantly. First year really positive. I arrived out just after breaking my leg, and kind of just was eased into the pre-season a little bit. And then I kind of started to they played me as a half forward, and kind of found a little niche there where I was actually playing well, kicking goals, and like causing defenders problems, and everything was going really well. And there was conversations towards the end of the year about getting called into the first team for games towards the end. Kind of just ran out of games then, but like all in all, really positive. Second year then had a monster pre-season, did really well, was loving it. Then kind of dipped in form maybe about halfway through the year, which probably was what kind of cost me my contract. I'd say I just had 5 games there where I wasn't up to par. But then picked it up again, but I think it was just a little bit too little too late. So unfortunately there wasn't the offer of another contract, which was a shame. But I still no real regrets surrounding any of it, to be honest.
That 5 or 6 games you're talking about, is that something to do with fitness? Was it just a form thing? Could you put your finger on it?
It was just a form thing. I suppose it's kind of hard to put your finger on something exactly. I think I was focusing too much on things that I couldn't control. I was worrying about, am I going to get picked for the first team? Is this going to happen for me? Is that going to happen for me? When what made me so good the first year and the pre-season was just going out and playing, like not worrying, not being too focused on external things. And I really think that's kind of what let me down. And I suppose that's all part of learning about being a professional athlete. You learn how to kind of focus your mind onto what works for you. And I suppose it was one thing I was a little bit disappointed at when they let me go. I was kind of thinking, I was like, look, you're bringing a guy from the other side of the world who's never had this kind of experience before. He's learning a new sport, learning how to live on the opposite side of the planet, and also then having to learn how to be a professional athlete and what goes with it, and how to kind of I suppose maximise your own ability. But look, it's a professional sport, it's cutthroat. If they don't think you're going to make it, they have to make a decision there and then. And look, rightly or wrongly, that was a decision made. So yeah, I'm kind of happy where I'm at now in my life. So I don't think it's kind of adversely affected me too much.
Were you able to just settle in as just away from the sport? Were you able to settle in Australia?
Yeah. I think kind of through the sport, I met all kind of the Irish guys. So I didn't know. All I knew was Dara Joyce, who I signed with at St Kilda. He was the only one I actually knew going over, and then met Kieran Byrne, Conor McKenna, Conor Glass, Conor Nash, a few Conors, and then Mark O'Connor and all these. Met all these boys over there, and then all of a sudden, McKenna was at my brother's wedding in September. They become your best mates. I was living with Conor Nash and Conor Glass. So you do settle in. You find your clique, and then you're kind of just as happy over there living there as you would be if you're back home, so it makes it easier.
Would you have still had that graw for playing Gaelic football while you were over there, missing it? And in Dara Joyce's case, hurling as well.
Yeah, it's nothing really compares. It's the sport you grow up playing. Every evening as a young fella you're kicking ball. You can't really. It would take an awful lot to get that out of the blood. So no, you definitely do miss it. And sure, you see that with lads. You're over there earning good money, and you still come home in the off season and you want to play Gaelic football.
Were you tempted ever to come back? Is that Loan your club?
At Loan, yeah. I played. I think it was in the break between my first and second year. I think I played. Or was it before I went out? Sorry, it was actually before I went out. So I definitely shouldn't have been playing because I just broke my leg and I was kind of just rehabbing that back. And I played a quarter final for the club, and then told St Kilda that, and there was a strong word to say don't play the semi-final. So unfortunately we lost the semi, so it was a bit disappointing. But even she saw Conor McKenna came home and with English there, and he played. So you do see a lot of the boys, but I do think the Australians now are starting to kind of cut it out. They're like, look, you're here, you've signed, which is obviously, look, fair enough. Like they're your employer. Like they do kind of get the last word. So